Last month, Uganda's Ethics and Integrity Minister, Reverend Father Simon Lokodo, while on official duty in the island district of Kalangala, collapsed. He was quickly evacuated to the Uganda Heart Institute using a helicopter belonging to the Uganda People's Defense Forces. Hadn't it been for his political status as a minister, it would be difficult to speculate on what would have befallen Father Lokodo and what his medical status would have been following a stroke that required specialized emergency medical care. Unlike Minister Lokodo, who is close to the corridors of power, the majority of Ugandans die before they reach the closest health facility for medical attention. We faked an emergency and dialed the toll-free contact provided by the Ministry of Health to respond to emergencies. We were referred to Kampala Capital City Authority on grounds that they were now running a pilot emergency response on behalf of the Health Ministry. However, there was no response from KCCA as well.
Your call is very important to us. Please stay on the line and your call will be handled in the order it was received.
Kampala Capital City Authority, here to transform Kampala. Our vision, to be a vibrant, attractive and sustainable city. Our mission, to deliver quality services to the city. Please contact our client service desk on 0204 660 000. KCCA for a better city.
In 2014, the Ministry of Health established the Uganda National Ambulance Service to address the need for emergency pre-hospital care in Uganda. Most of the emergencies here in Uganda are as a result of road accidents, but other factors like drowning and medical conditions like heart attacks also call for quick response. But because this country does not have an emergency response system, the rescue teams and ambulances are of little impact when such calls are made. The burden has cost the country enormously, both in terms of human life and resources. Currently, pre-hospital care is given on an ad hoc basis by fragmented providers including the police and community bystanders near crash scenes in case of road traffic crashes. In spite of the high emergency toll, the emergency services are clearly insufficient and there is low capacity to manage the injured. We spoke to KCCA's Acting Director of Public Health and Environment, Dr. Daniel Okello, on how the authority is currently running the ambulance system to respond to emergencies.
It's only proper that we offer this at no cost. So there is no cost attached to it. Definitely it's expensive because the vehicles are not cheap. An ambulance costs between $100,000 to $150,000. You need to have more than your usual personnel because if you have at least for each ambulance, you need another driver or two because remember it's a 24-hour, 7-hour day a week. So for each car, you need maybe 3 drivers attached to each car, such that people can be able to work within their means and not be overstretched. Also, the personnel who are on the ambulances have to be much more than you would have traditionally. So if you have 2 persons for ambulance, you need also another 2 as backup to actually be there. Running the call center when it is set up is also a cost because it is a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week business. So it's quite an expensive venture.
There are about 80 ambulances in the Kampala metropolitan, but 70% of these are run by the private sector. The Health Ministry, in order to support its pilot system, purchased and handed over 7 ambulances to KCCA. These are meant to work in the city and its suburbs.
In Kampala, when you look at our data, most of our emergencies tend to be accidents in nature, traumatic in nature, and these are due to road traffic accidents. Some are due to blunt instruments, stabbing. So what we have done is that we have put them at hotspots. You'll see one which is usually at the clock tower where the fire brigade area is, and along selected black spots in Kampala where usually accidents do occur. And we also park them in areas where there is crowding, like we have zoned Kampala into the high-risk areas, so where probably an emergency may occur. So areas around the taxi park, around the window market, you'll find that there's an ambulance that will actually be there. Areas around which are close to the northern bypass will actually put one there. And yes, we have managed to book a toll-free line from UCC. And until we have the call and dispatch center set, that's when we'll actually be able to fully move in. But at the moment, we are just at the testing period. But right now, what we are doing, we are actually doing what we call facility pickups. So we pick people from facilities and be able to move them from facility to facility. And that is one of the initial pilot phase to be able to perfect the dispatch system.
Despite the presence of ambulances across the country, the majority of which are attached to health facilities and others run by private institutions, less than 7% of patients arrive at health facilities by ambulance.
Actually, one of the challenges we are having is the location. Because when someone calls you, you need to give directions to where you are.
This is why many injured and ill arrive at health facilities by any means of transport possible, such as boda-bodas, police trucks and private cars, among others. Emergencies, whether due to road traffic accidents, violence, illness or other causes, affect not only the immediate victim, but also his or her family and members of the community. Emergencies in Uganda have exerted a large societal and economic toll, both in terms of the direct costs of medical care and the indirect economic costs of premature death and disability. This is attributed to the absence of a formal emergency medical service management system. The problems of dealing with an emergency in Uganda are deeply rooted in a broken health system. While speaking to Kampala Executive Aviation in Kajansi, we learned that a few Ugandans and some people in the neighboring countries have been using air ambulance.
We had a call from Virunga Park in DRC, a medevac. We also did a medevac by helicopter. I think it was out of Bunia. But yeah, it does happen.
However, medical evacuation is still a privilege to a few Ugandans because of the costs involved. You'll have to pay close to $3,000 for this service.
Here in Uganda, we probably do two a month. Keeping in mind that you know, it's up to the receiving physician to decide whether a medevac needs to occur or whether the patient can be moved by a ground ambulance. Okay, so medevacs by air are usually rare, and they're only used when someone is so seriously ill that they can't take the 3-hour drive.
The coverage, though, is not that much because of the hindrances. For example, one cannot utilize air ambulance at night because of the shortage of facilities to aid the air services at night.
We can't fly at night to airfields, especially in Uganda, because they don't have lights, so it's not safe for us to fly in such airfields.
With a poorly facilitated health budget, the ministry cannot afford to improve emergency services. Health experts have indicated that many ambulances used in Uganda are just speeding vehicles, not fit to evacuate patients.
They are modified by giving them special seats, putting trolleys, putting a few provisions for storage, and also sometimes modifying the roof and the walls. But it is important to know that a proper ambulance is made as an ambulance. It's made for that purpose.
And one of the things we want to do is to standardize what should be in an ambulance.
Dr. Lamek Semogerere, an intensivist and the head of critical care services at Uganda Heart Institute, says without such specialized facilities and training of emergency handling teams, people will continue to die.
So what is so different between this ambulance and the rest of the ambulances? As I said, this is a level 3 ambulance, and most of the ambulances we have are level 1 and level 2. This ambulance, as you can see, it has a specialized stretcher. This stretcher can acquire any shape, which is very key for cardiac patients because many of them cannot lie flat. They may need to sit up, they may need to be tilted, However, at the moment it is limited to a given perimeter because of we have only one. All those who are able to carry patients using any form of transport system, we still can't fight them because that's the only way Ugandans can access hospitals. But we hope that in the future, every hospital will be able to have an ambulance that has been made for that purpose.
The Ministry of Health has taken the lead, and as part of it, they have come up with ambulance standards.
An emergency medical system comprises a continuum of care, including first lay responders at the community level, pre-hospital care and transportation through an ambulance service, and definitive care at health facility emergency units. This system requires several building blocks that include a dedicated human resource of trained ambulance crews, a call and dispatch system with a toll-free number, ambulance vehicles that meet the standards to offer quality care, an efficient referral system, and governance. Dr. Joel Okulo, the chairman of the Medical and Dental Practitioners Council, told NTV that the Ministry of Health is now working to regulate the system, starting with ambulances.
Right now, it is not well coordinated because, as I said, we don't have a policy yet. In fact, as we talk about development of the emergency services, we are looking at training of the personnel to be able to do this. Because you don't just have a driver, you don't just have any nurse, you need a well-trained group of people who can handle several emergencies. If you recall, when there was a bomb blast and many people were injured and they were taken to some private hospitals where they were turned away because they were not sure whether they would pay. But under the current system that we are going to develop, it's going to be mandatory that anybody who needs emergency care must be given emergency care, must be stabilized before it can be transferred to another unit. Looking specifically at the emergency referral system, the country is at the moment at the level of developing policy for the emergency services, and this, I think, will soon be passed by the top management in the Ministry of Health. And when that is done, then we will go ahead and develop the guidelines for the operations of the ambulance system.
Walter Mwesije, NTV.